Oneness, the essence of all spiritual experience. That experience of oneness is what has created every major spiritual movement and religious tradition. But what is this oneness? Well, let's explore it. I want to explore in a very deep and experiential way what it means to be one with the universe, one with each other, one with God, to be one. And what that really, really means. And what was the nature of the experience that has created so many different spiritual traditions that really gave us a breath, breathed life into the desire to know the truth, to know God, to know what the reality was. These days, we all have a feeling of disunity. I mean, in fact, the media does nothing but try to make us feel separate and divided and conflicting, and amplifying all the differences between us, when in fact we have at our center a core experience that is absolutely universal and ubiquitous, and in fact is so universal and so constantly present in every one of us, we don't even know it's there. What is it that some sage, a Buddha, a Christ, a Muhammad, a Nisargadatta, a Ramana, a Joan of Arc, right? A St. John of the Cross. What was the experience they had that so transformed their life that it was never the same again? It was completely rededicated to what they regarded as the ultimate truth of our existence. What was the experience? Over time, the people who learn from them, study with them, oftentimes don't have that same experience. For them, it becomes ideas, concepts. It can even deteriorate into rules and behaviors and laws and become very fundamentalist and aggressive. Right? I mean, how do you get from the total open-hearted loving of Christ to the cruelty of Christianity as it exists now, the condemnation of just countless numbers of people, the support for war? How does this happen? Well, it happens because those adherents have never actually had the experience that the founders of all of those traditions were pointing at. They reduced it to ideas and thoughts. The moment you do that, the sense of ego starts to impose itself on it, and before you know it, you've got a worn-out, dead theory. You have a religious ritual completely robbed of all of its essence. What is the cause and the cure for the illusion of separation? Now, first off, you have to come to see that the sense of being separate is an illusion. It's a perceptual distortion. It's a misinterpretation of what is being experienced. And it is based very directly on the subject-object split, which is the formation of human knowledge. You can't use human knowledge and get to the experience of oneness. You can't do it. You have to come in through a different door. But the cause of this sense of separation, oddly enough, paradoxically enough, it's not a mistake. It's not a fall from grace. It isn't because you're essentially flawed and messed up. It arose out of the natural functioning of life and the long-term habit of humanity of identifying with this body. When the sense of separation, the sense of being a body arises, arising with it is this sense of being separate. And with that comes the fear of death and the fear of lack. But the weird thing about it is that everybody goes through it. Everybody has to go through it. It is the nature of life itself and the way it unfolds. It's not a mistake, but it is the destiny of us to see through this natural occurring of an illusion. It's as naturally occurring as is the illusion of the sun moving across the sky. It's only because of the position we're taking and the fact that our vision wasn't big enough at the time that we got fooled by that. Now we see that it's an illusion. The same thing applies to the sense of separation. This illusion of separation has arisen in every single one of us, just like every single one of us sees the sun moving across the sky. But in a few, and in the deepest spiritual teaching, that it is revealed as an illusion, and the inner attention pointed in the direction that helps see through that illusion to come to the reality, the realization of oneness, the boundaryless infinitude of consciousness. The sense of being separate, of not being one, rests firmly on the idea that I am the body. If I am the body, well, that's, this it. The body's destiny is my destiny. It means my entire existence will be summed up by that little dash on my gravestone. Before my birth, oblivion, nothing. After my death, oblivion, nothing. This little interruption in the void. And that's all there'd be to it. But we all intuitively know there's more. What we need to do is to divest from the sense of conscious existence the idea that we are limited to, stuck in, and defined by a body. Take the body out of the picture, and I have some exercises to help do that, and what's left? Conscious awareness. Now, without the body outlining it, can you find a boundary to consciousness? Really look. If you look and look and look, even though your mind is convinced there must be, when you really, really look, you'll convince yourself there isn't. Consciousness is formless. It isn't stuck anywhere. It is only stuck in our beliefs. And that is the walls of the mind that the true understanding of oneness breaks down and dissolves. The sense of being a body doesn't mean you actually are a body. A feeling running through your nervous system that you feel at any moment isn't necessarily the reality of what is actually happening. It's certainly not the reality of who you actually are. I can feel fear, yet I know that I am beyond death. No matter what happens to me, nothing really happens to me. Yes, you can destroy this body. I will still be here because I'm not the body. And yet I will feel fear, feel anxiety, feel grumpy, right? But none of those define us. In English, we say, I am grumpy, right? As if it was a permanent characteristic of you rather than just an emotional state that's coming and going. Who is it that is aware of the emotional states coming and going? Is that coming and going? Is that subject to the state? Is a sense of something the truth of something? And we can break down the nature of perception itself, because the nature of perception itself is a reduction of all the information that's coming to us. That perception literally creates objects out of what is pure potential, just the pure emptiness. Why is this the answer to suffering? And I assert that it is. The source of all of our suffering is the mistaken belief, the illusion of being separate. That's where the fear of lack comes, right? A sense of, I'm lacking. I'm lacking love. I'm lacking money. I'm lacking friendship. I'm lacking opportunity. I'm lacking creativity. I'm lacking what I need. I'm lacking food. I'm lacking lack. All is a sense of, I'm separate from what I need. I need to find a way to go get it. I'm here and it's over there and I've got to go get it, or I've got to, raise my vibration and attract it. All of it's based on this underlying assumption that you're separate from it. What if that's not true? Well, if that's not true, then the whole foundation of suffering is an illusion and can be put to rest. And that, in fact, is what saints and sages have been saying for millennia. It's an illusion. The cause of suffering is our belief in separation. And in fact, we're not separate. Why is it that this is so hard to grasp? Why can't I just think of oneness? Well, if you really look at our conceptual equipment, you know, how the mind functions, how thinking works, it is dualistic by nature. It has to have two things. Description, comparison. This is what the mind does, right? If it doesn't have two things, it can't compare. What we call knowledge is quite literally the description of one thing in terms of something else. So without short, there's no tall. Without up, there's no down. Without male, there's no female. And vice versa, right? Without night, there's no day, right? It is this opposites that define themselves. As a matter of fact, it defines the entire duality of existence. And this works for everything in the universe except for one thing, and that's you. Because you cannot stand aloof from yourself and look at yourself as an object, the whole subject-object relationship falls away. It dissolves. It's useless. So trying to describe yourself or oneness as an object would imply two, and there isn't. That's why oneness becomes so mysterious. How do you know something that cannot be known? That is, cannot be objectified, cannot be described? Well, you know it, but through a different means. Who is the one in the oneness? If there's just one, now think about that. Just ponder this deep in your heart. We're talking about oneness, just one. You cannot approach it as me trying to find oneness, because that would be two, wouldn't it? Which means that the one who is attempting to find the oneness, to become one with everything, is oneness. That's it. If it's really one, which is what every saint has said, then that one is you. That one is awakening to itself. That one is realizing itself. One equals one. There can be only one. Which means, since you are, and you know you are, it is self-evident that you exist, you must be that one. So the realization is not the achievement of oneness, it is the realization of oneness by oneness. So I hope you'll join me. I hope you'll take me up on this. And I'm so looking forward to seeing how this whole thing works. And I'm so looking forward to exploring what I consider to be the most important subject in the human kingdom. And that what is the actual nature of your being? What is the truth of your being? Thanks all. Namaste.